Good afternoon, members. Well, this is a very good committee because it's small, so our work will be easier. It's not always like this every term. Well, some people would like to do more, but of course the secretariat staff would not think so. Any nomination for chairmanship? Mr. Wong Teng Kwang, Ms. Emily Lau. Any seconder? Ms. Claudia Mo seconds. So what should I do? Should I vacate the seat? Clerk, any suggestion? Any other nomination? Any other nomination? No? So that's it. All right, so thank you very much, colleagues, for your support. Do we need to elect a deputy chairman? Is it necessary to do so? Clerk, what about last term? No, we did not have a deputy chairman last term. Any other suggestion? No. So we don't need a deputy chairman? Any suggestion? So if we don't need a deputy chairman, we'll leave it at that. I'd like to thank the Secretariat for preparing a very detailed paper for us. In the last term, the Secretariat did a lot, so did the subcommittee. This time we have some new members and there are other members who were not in this subcommittee during the last term. The clerk or the accountant? Yes, Madam Chairman, in paper AS 106, we introduced to members the series of studies conducted by the subcommittee in the last term. We studied how many staff members would suffice, what should their remuneration be, how much would each study cost. We also studied what equipment and facilities the office would need. After this whole series of studies, we discovered that the scope of work of members has grown in terms of volume and complexity. So we submitted some recommendations to the administration. After going through our recommendations, the administration did inspect our members' offices. In March 2012, the administration made a proposal to us that is to be implemented in October this year. Now, what are the proposals? In paragraph 3 of the paper, it is said that members' remuneration will be increased by 10% with effect from October this year. And the annual office operation expenses reimbursement should be increased by 20% from $1.7 million to $2 million per annum. And the surplus from a year's OOER entitlement should be allowed to roll over to the following year until the end of a term, so as to allow for more flexibility. And for the setting up expenses, we discovered that some setting up expenses and expenses on information technology and communication equipment had not been enough. So members would like to combine the two allowances so as to allow for more flexibility. The administration accepted that proposal. In addition, the administration was of the view that the staff members of members' ward officers in the handling of policies and monitoring of operations would require personnel of a higher qualification, for example, university graduates In terms of constituent services and community services, staff qualifications could have more flexibility. The administration maintained a stance that gratuity, medical expenses, etc. should be adjusted according to CPIC. And in May last year, or May of last term, the subcommittee submitted a paper to the Finance Committee summarizing the proposals to the administration. The contents include the OOER level, which was deemed not to be sufficient. Even with an increase of 20%, the expenses were unable to reflect the functions and constitutional support required by members. The subcommittee holds the view that their officers should be staffed by university graduates to assist them to examine public policies and proposed legislation. For frontline staff, they also need sufficient education background and experience to understand the issues concerned and communicate with the administration direct, even at the district officers level. Therefore, the assumption that the work of these staff members is clerical in nature is wrong. As for the review of members' remuneration package, the subcommittee is of the view that proposals should be implemented in the same term after a review. That view differed from that of the Independent Commission, which was of the view that to avoid any real or perceived conflict of interest, any substantial change to the package or fundamental changes should only take effect in the following term. But the subcommittee considers that the Independent Commission was not that independent. They would like an objective mechanism to review the remuneration package for district officers and members' officers. The subcommittee also observed that in overseas jurisdictions, they usually have an independent body to conduct the review. On many occasions, it's actually a body established by statute that conducts the review. For example, in the case of Canada, the last commission comprised 2 members of the House of Commons and the Chancellor of the University of Ottawa. And in Australia and New Zealand, members' remuneration is reviewed annually. For the UK, the review of members' remuneration is required by law to be conducted either in the first year of each new parliament or at any time the statutory Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority considers appropriate. So they don't need to wait till the end of the term or the following term for implementation. So, Madam Chairman, so much for my briefing. Thank you, Accountant. Members, this meeting is to discuss how we're going to go about this. As the consultant said, many proposals have been carried forward from the last term, and the accountant mentioned some of them. Do we need to invite the administration to come and discuss with us? As for the items mentioned by the accountant, the administration did not accept some of our proposals. For example, it would not like to have implementation in the same year. For the sake of conflict of interest or to avoid conflict of interest, it would like to have implementation in the following term. But in overseas jurisdictions, the experience is not the same. As Mr. Wong Ting Kwong will remember, many staff members of officers came to protest. I asked the clerk whether or not we could have some preliminary information for consideration. The Secretariat has been very helpful. Some members' officers have not yet recruited all personnel. The accountant correctly said that many members would like to employ staff with good educational qualification and experience, but we need money. So we may have to meet with the administration. The accountant did not mention a survey conducted in the last term in relation to the wastage rate. Staff wastage rate of members' officers is 30%. That's rather terrible. I think for the civil service is 2 to 3% only. Maybe the accountant can further remind us about that. And then do we need a genuine independent body to conduct the review and make proposals? Should we do it once every 4 years, that is for each term? And then do we need a statutory body? Or do we want somebody like Ms. Sophie Cao? Do we need to invite the administration to come? But before we invite them to come, we must have consensus among ourselves. Otherwise, we may be arguing among ourselves. So, information has been prepared for us today. And if members so wish, we can ask the Secretariat to prepare more information for us. The responsible official will be the Director of Administration. So, when necessary, we can invite the DFA to come. And of course, if members are satisfied with all these materials, the Secretariat will be very happy. Well, I'd like the clerk to introduce to us the papers tabled. Tabled today is a table to point out, as at today, the staff emoluments for members' officers. For example, for those between $15,000 to $20,000 per month, we try to calculate the total number of employees. At this moment, we've only received applications from 41 members. I believe more applications are on the pipeline, so I believe we'll have to wait till all the applications come in before we can have more concrete figures. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, well, what about these applications mentioned by the clerk? You mean the salaries and wages that members asked for reimbursement? Yes. So members, I'd like to see what views you have. What follow-up work do you think we should do? At the end of the last term, as the President said, we said that we would proceed when we came back. You see, the highest salary in the table is only $10,000. So how can we actually have exchanges with the administration? I believe members should be given more resources to employ more experienced personnel and more educated personnel. Otherwise, our employees may be leaving very quickly after recruitment.
Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, from this table, we know that the highest percentage is taken up by those who are paid 10 to 15,000, or 86 of them, which is 41.7%. If it's 10 to 15,000, and the minimum wage is going to be $30 per hour, so you know what kind of pay. So even the highest paid in this range is just getting double that of minimum wage. And if you are a well-educated person, well, then I think we are doing them justice. And also our assistants have to work long hours. They don't just work from 9 to 5. They have to provide support as and when required. Even if we have to attend meetings till the small hours, they will be around to support us. So, well, I don't want to talk about members' remuneration. It's our own interest. But for operating expenses, office operating expenses reimbursement, although there was an increase of 20% last time by the government, it's still not enough. I'm a functional constituency member. I have the support of the Chamber of Commerce behind me. They provide office to me at a very low cost. And they also provide support in the form of manpower and facilities. So, my operation expenses are light. But for directly elected members, they have to rent an office, they have to hire people to staff the office, especially the one from the DC 2nd functional constituency. Well, they will have a hard time in getting ends meet, according to the paper, or according to the administration. Our proposals or recommendations would be implemented in the next term. So we're talking about what would happen in 4 years' time. So we will be implementing what will be implemented in 4 years' time. So if we want to do something, we may be talking about a time frame of 8 years. And a lot of things can happen in that time frame. So are we able to move ahead with the times? Can we really tie in with changes or catch up with changes in the environment? So I just find the logic rather flawed. Well, we're talking about our own interests. So I'm just reluctant about talking about our own interests here in a meeting like this. But for office operation expenses, I cannot really agree to the logic of having recommendations implemented in the next term of LegCo. What do you think about having a statutory body or stick to the independent commission we have here? Well, I have no strong views either way. But I think with regard to the practice of implementing the proposals in the next term of LegCo, I have strong views. I think once the review is completed, the proposal should be implemented in good time. I don't think we should wait until the next term. Ms. Claudia Mo. Well, I'm new. I don't understand a lot about the background. Last time, we wanted to increase 20% of the OOER. The government did not agree. No. It was agreed. We asked for 30%. Accountant? Well, a total of 50% of the increase was requested. Well, if you look at paragraph 3, these are the proposals agreed to, but these are just some of the proposals made. Well, I think it's better to have a independent body rather than members talking about how to increase the remuneration or benefits for ourselves. And well, we have to ask, where would the members of the independent commissions come from? How are they got appointed? Well, we can make suggestions. They are now appointed. Well, they are appointed. If we think the current composition is inappropriate, we may want to propose alternatives. According to the accountant, in other countries, they have a statutory body whereby they are ex officio members. Mr. Raymond Wong, last time I was not a member of this subcommittee. I have joined it now because we are concerned about the remuneration of our assistants. We have spoken at length about this. Last time I objected to the proposal to raise members' remuneration by 100%. I think it was also a recommendation of this subcommittee. It was the proposal was to increase the remuneration from 70,000 to 140,000, and there was a public outcry. The point was to equate the remuneration with a certain portion of a secretary, bureau secretary pay. But there are different members here. For example, Mr. Wai-hing is well taken care of by his constituency. But you can't say that for directly elected members you get a higher remuneration than FC members. Well, that's not right constitutionally. So it's a waste of time. And if you ask for a pay rise for yourself, well, you are going to be ridiculed. But the case for assistants is very different. Let's look at the reimbursement forms. The biggest portion is taken up by those paying $10,000, but there are also a few who are paid $50,000 or $60,000. Well, it's I think that the FC members are wealthy; they can afford to hire pretty secretary just for the look of it. Well, last time we had to top up for the deficit. Okay, in order to do a better job, we willingly top up the expenses. We don't have a lot of time for this term's subcommittee, and then you have to go to the EXCO, the Independent Commission, and then they would make adjustments and modifications, and they would the proposals would come back, and then electrical members will be told that some changes are better than none. So our assistants will continue to be poorly paid. You may say that you can spend the 80,000 to hire 2 assistants, but can 2 assistants be sufficient for your office? I think we should look at pay and remuneration for assistants. Of course, I don't care how you call it. I just want to look at office operation expenses reimbursement. We want flexibility, or we may raise funds for our activities. Every member may use a different approach, but for some members, things are very difficult. They will not work for us if they do not subscribe to our political views. I would not fire people, meaning it's meaningless. I'm not going to pay them anything under $10,000 unless they are part-timers. I'll pay them $15,000, $16,000. I have 12 assistants, full-timers and part-timers taken together. Well, some have made others suggestions. We should, for example, we should refer to the civil service pay, or to peg our remuneration at a certain level with certain grade or rank of officers. And now, 4 years have passed. I think our focus should be squarely on the pay for our staff and assistants, not on members' remuneration. That's what I see as the issues. And also, we should not agree that the recommendations will be implemented in the next term. Well, this shouldn't be the case. They are working for these assistants are working for members who are representing the public. Members, we have a name for this subcommittee. It's Subcommittee on Members' Remuneration and Operating Expenses Reimbursement, and we have our terms of reference. We can discuss things under our terms of reference. Of course, members can propose changes and modifications to the terms of condition, but of course, changes have to be agreed to by the electoral members, not just members of this subcommittee. Some members may think that we need to tackle certain issues as well, but you may think that's not what you want. Well, we do not invent the terms of reference ourselves. It's the majority view of the electoral. Of course, members are free to say that they are not in agreement. We should continue to offer views, especially on how to take forward matters that come under our ambit. Of course, we need support from the Secretariat, otherwise we cannot accomplish our task. Mr. Lee again, looking at this table, well, I'm ashamed of myself as a member. 78.5% are paid under $20,000. And then in paragraph, or on page 19, the report submitted last time. So that comparison is with EO executive officer. The lowest pay for a new EO is $20,900. They are also university graduates. So a university graduate would get $20,900. But 78.5% of our assistants are paid under $20,000. So only 20% of our assistants are paid like EO2. And I don't really want to mention EO1 is $38,000. And only for 10 other assistants get paid like EO1. It's under 10%. If you look at the distribution of figures, I don't want to say that I'm mean, but I think all employers are mean. Well, so we have among us some unscrupulous employers, although Mrs. Sophie Leung hated this remark. So we are forced into acting like unscrupulous employers. Look at page 19. Chairman, you were also our chairman last time. That 1 EO1, 2 EO2, and 4 ACO, and the total salary to be paid is $1.58 million, and that's not inclusive of rent of office. How much do we have? Please look at 3B, accountant. Am I right? 3B. The total reimbursement, $2.063 million, and for them, it's just 1.58 million just on pay.
Well, Mr. Lee, please finish your comments first before the accountant responds. Well, last year, after our discussions, we're only given an increase of 20%, which is not enough. Well, if what's proposed in this term should only be implemented in the next term, then we should ask the administration to implement all the proposals endorsed in the Finance Committee to be implemented in the next term only. 20% is not enough. We did all our calculations and surveys. In fact, it should have been all right to ask for an immediate adjustment last term. And in the last term, we already pointed out that the wastage rate had been very serious. Nobody should tolerate the monthly salary of $20,000 for 4 years or even 7 years. These people are bound to leave. So on the basis of our calculation last year, we should ask for an immediate adjustment. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong is shaking his head. Oh, I understand that he is actually appreciating what I was saying. If this is our consensus, then let's all appreciate one another, and then we'll base our requests on the conclusions last term. Tomorrow morning, the ESC will have a meeting. In the first paper, we asked them to review their recommendations for 25 directorate posts. Accountant, would you please respond to what Mr. Lee Chok-yan said concerning the OOER? In October, the CPIC was adjusted by 5%. So the new sum would be $2.166 million. Well, emoluments will take up $1.5 million. So Mr. Lee is suggesting that we should not review any other items. We would invite the administration to come and discuss with them our recommendations in the last term. Of course, in this term, we may have some new assistance. At the end of last term, the assistants actually asked us to veto the administration's package, which the assistants considered insulting. They're actually very angry. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong? Thank you, Madam Chairman. I agree to most of what Mr. Lee Chok-yan said, but I do not agree that we should retaliate by deferring the approved administration's proposals to the next term for implementation. And Mr. Lee also said that some of our members had been employing so-called cosmetic staff. That is, people who are just sitting there to stage a show and to look more attractive. Now, this subcommittee is known as the Subcommittee on Members' Remuneration and Operating Expenses Reimbursement. This term has just started. We may not have too much work to do at the moment, but we have to think of the members of the next term. Well, I may not run again, but we still have to think about the members of the next term. So I agree with Mr. Wong Yok Man that we can put down the salaries first, but then for the OOER, we must maintain a strong stance against the administrations, and we should put forth statistics to the administration. Indeed, we do not want to be unscrupulous employers, and we do not want others to force us to be unscrupulous employers. We'll be telling the truth. Of course, members are working for the welfare of the general public and for the welfare of the labor sector. I think we're talking about facts and reason. Mr. Wong Yok-man, Madam Chairman, I understand very well that this subcommittee is known as the Subcommittee on Members' Remuneration and Operating Expenses Reimbursement, a very long title. First of all, I have to explain why I joined this committee. I already have 8 committees. But some colleagues asked me to join this subcommittee, saying that Ms. Emily Lau is a very fair person. Now, this is very simple. We're asking for a pay rise for our staff members. Well, of course, we can ask for symbolic rises for members' remuneration. Members' remuneration and allowances were increased year by year, but our own staff members did not get a reasonable pay rise. Well, they said that they would follow the inflation rate. I know. The administration reported back that they would like to effect a rise in salaries once every 4 years only. And it's for members to reshuffle their resources and expenses. I've read the whole report. Well, in fact, we can follow up on the report. Just to follow up on the report, and that will suffice. So, Chairman, do not misunderstand me. I think we should be more focused in our strife with the administration. We already arrived at some conclusions last term, and that's a good foundation. Ms. Claudia Mo. Chairman, I think we're starting to repeat ourselves. Anyway, we're striving for the welfare of our employees. Can we have an independent body to conduct the review? That independent body will not be striving for members' own interests. Can we resolve this today? Can we recommend members for that independent body? Well, I think it depends on whether or not we have a consensus. Mr. Wong said that he did not have strong views on this. Well, he can accept the present independent commission. He can also accept the overseas models. But this independent body will be very important because it is to put forth recommendations to the CE in Council for approval. Mr. Leung Sing was a member of the independent commission, but then he told me that he's not going to wear 2 hats. The chairman of the commission was actually the former HSBC CEO, that is Mr. Vincent Cheng. So, we must prepare all necessary information before we discuss with the administration. And if we can form a consensus, we must allow the other members to know as well. Otherwise, if the consensus is only among the 5 of us here, other members may scold us severely. SG or Clark, can you give us some advice? If we can form a consensus today, for example, we can say that we'll base our requests on last term's report. then we can list out all the recommendations in that report and consult all members to see what views they have. If necessary, this subcommittee can call another meeting to have another discussion. Otherwise, we can directly communicate with the administration. For an independent body, we did not have a clear concept last term. It's just that we felt that the Independent Commission did not go through in detail our proposals. And we also queried the independence of the Commission. That's why we would like to have an independent body to handle the matter. As the accountant said, we already carried out some studies. In overseas jurisdictions, they sometimes have a statutory body. Sometimes they have other types of modus operandi. It depends on members' views. Mr. Wong King Kwong, I think the clerk has made a very good point. Last time, we did not give a clear definition to the term independent body. Mr. Vincent Chang was the chairman of the commission, and Mr. Ng Sing is a member. Are they independent? We don't think so, because after their own discussions, they just submit their views to the CE in Council. The LegCo does not have the power to appoint members to the Independent Commission. Well, we can offer our advice. Well, I can recommend Ms. Emily Lau, but will they accept my nomination? And also the method of composition. Are we going to say how many social workers, how many members of the labor sector, how many from the employers, blah, 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 should be appointed? I believe there will be a great deal of argument. I think we must have some idea about independence. I'm still very confused. Was the Independent Commission independent enough? I really don't know. And the independent body should comprise representatives from all sectors of the community. Mr. Wong Yok Man, well, I think the Independent Commission is actually an independent commission appointed by the administration to study members' remuneration and operating expenses reimbursement. Well, if we are to form another independent committee, that committee will only be advising the Independent Commission and the administration. It does not have the right to make a decision. And of course, they don't have a voting right. Why do we have to form another independent committee? It's because the existing independent commission is not credible enough. So, credibility is the crux of the matter. Madam Chairman, if you ask me, I'll say that we should not touch the difficult issues. We should rather adopt the easy approach. We already have an independent commission. We already have an established mechanism. We should consult other colleagues and then talk to the administration. That's the most effective approach. If we form an independent committee, as Mr. Wong Ting Kwong said, its functions, terms of reference, composition, etc. will be very complicated because we have so many political parties and factions here. Mr. Lee Chia-yan, I also agree that we should not touch the independent commission. We had prepared papers on Australia, Ottawa, etc. Well, we can do some research first. but do not put them forth to the administration. The administration is most able in shifting the focus. It will then tell us that it will conduct studies slowly and gradually. So don't discuss any other items, just discuss members' remuneration, so that the administration cannot escape. Will insist on this focal point until they give in. And you see in Ottawa, they have a statutory body. They are being very serious. If we are to be so serious, the process will be very long. So we need more consensus. So we'll just focus on this item.
And we want implementation as soon as possible. We propose something. We hope it will be implemented the following year. Mr. Wong Ting Kwong, I have a question for the Secretariat. In Appendix 1, well, the submission, was it sent to all 70 members? Clark? Yes, indeed. We have sent the submission to all members. Oh, no, members in the last term. We haven't printed the submission. But last time when we said we wanted to set up this subcommittee, in the House Committee, mention was made about this submission. Well, I think all 70 members in the current term should have a copy of the submission. And I'm going to talk to my party caucus that we had this discussion today, and also the submission was the fruit of hard work of the Secretariat. They have tried to gather a lot of information in compiling such a comprehensive report. So I have to bring this up to the attention of my party, and then I hope we can build a consensus through this subcommittee, and then we can approach the administration. If only members of this subcommittee are given the submission, then I will have to spend a lot of time to explain to my colleagues. Maybe the Secretariat can be asked to send out e-copies through email. And also, please provide a cover documents setting out the options or the things that they need to decide on. For example, you may want to tell them that certain proposals of the subcommittee in the last term have been accepted, some others have not. So the members should be invited to express their views on whether we should do this or that. It will be easier for the different parties to discuss among themselves, their own members. Do we need to send this to people other than the 70 members? Well, I'm not for democracy, but if you involve too many people, it's difficult to get a consensus. I think members are fair-minded. Don't forget that our assistants are also the interested parties. Of course, they want to get higher pay. Well, let's put this on the site, on our website. Let's upload this. And the assistants are free to offer comments. 70 members of us might think that we have come up with something very agreeable, and then they would write in and will be flooded with submissions. I think they have a union. So let's encourage them to offer views. What do you propose? What do you suggest? Clark, please listen to the clerk on the execution plan, please. We're going to write the paper summarizing members' views today, and then we also refer to the submission made in the last term. There's a summary at the end, setting out all the proposals, and we would also indicate which of them have been accepted by the administration, and then we also focus on the issues the members propose here. Then we'll approach the 70 members to solicit their views. You should tell them which proposals have been accepted by the administration and which proposals are those we want to take forward and we want to submit those to the administration, so that when they consult their own party members, they would understand what are at stake. And then if we have a majority view, we can invite the Director of Administration to attend a meeting of ours to have a discussion. Anything from SG? Thank you, Madam Chair. The procedure referred to by you and the clerk, well, I have no strong views about it. Just want to point out, according to the FC submission in May, this independent commission on remuneration for the political appointment system would start a review the 1 year before the new term. If you want this independent commission to be up and running as soon as possible, we need to alert the administration. They are only going to work on 2013, 2014. According to the administration, they will start to work in 2015. We are not proposing a new setup, but we hope the administration, whether it's a commission or not, we hope the commission or the administration will carry out a review as soon as possible. We want to send this message to the administration. They may have different views. Let's propose that the independent commission starts its work in 2013, and then we can come to a consensus and submit our views. We have extended invitation to the Commission previously, but they never came. They will only talk to us on some other occasions. The Independent Commission is already there. They can convene meetings in 2012, 2013, as long as there's something to deal with. SG, this is a table setting out the preliminary information. I think more complete information will be available in January and February, and then we can tell the administration that this is the remuneration pattern of our assistants. So we will be able to present the actual figures to the administration. We should tell them it's not good that they are so poorly paid. Maybe the secretary can also try to get information on their qualifications. Are they university graduates? How many years of working experience do they have? And so on and so forth. It may be difficult, because according to the form for OOER, we can only know the pay or even how the contract is drafted, but we don't have information on qualifications of individuals unless we ask them specifically to provide the same. Well, we just want to do things that would advance our cause. You may know the experience, but not necessarily qualifications. SG, in the last submission, through our survey, which page are you referring to? It's Appendix 3. Qualification of staff. Group A, Group B, Group C, and a comparison of the qualification. I think groups A, B, C are defined. A, dealing with core electrical business. B are the duties related to electrical, and C the core duty plus other duties. So the three groups, you know that the corresponding qualification comparison. But we cannot really set these two papers aside. We want to tell the administration that these people are paid 10 to 15,000, and that's the kind of qualification they hold. Please do more to help us. If you say that a university graduate with 8 years of experience and he's paid $12,000, then you may say it's not right. So we need to get more information. If you just tell them that the staff is paid $12,000, they would just say that is a Form 5 graduate. So if we agree to proceed like that, the clerk would be asked to issue the submission to members, and assistants can contact us if they want, and then a summary would be provided to members so that they can conduct their own consultations. They will be informed that these are the proposals that have been taken up by the administration, and these are those which we want to pursue this time. And then we can convene another meeting after that. Okay? Is that agreed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, SG and your colleagues.